You want to roll for vibes?
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's roll for vibes.
Let's roll for vibes.
It's a 10.
Nat 20.
Oh my god.
Huh. He's still with us in spirit.
Yeah. The vibes are strong for you.
Okay.
Does that mean whoever you're steering is gonna die?
That usually does happen as a DM, so let's hope so.
Okay, yeah.
I
Fingers
sure hope
crossed.
so. Jerry, you kneel down and you find that in Phil's open palm is a blood-soaked letter. The same letter that he briefly showed you in his shop before leaving on this journey.
I pick up the letter. And this time I read it.
You open it up, and though much of the writing is bleeding and smudged, you make out that it says, "My Philly, I'm sorry that it has come to this. I can't take another day of watching you destroy yourself. What happened to our dream? You and me, our bakery? One more fight, I hear you say. I can't do one more. I love you too much to watch you die for this dream, and nothing changes. I have to make the difficult decision to walk away. I hope this will save you. Love, always, Jenny." Welcome to Deepest Darkness on Dreamroll. This is a bit of a shell-shocked episode 2. I am the GM. My name's Austin Robert Miller. Matthew, thank you for being here.
Great to still be here.
Our dear friend, Dan Middleditch, is sitting out of today's session after, well, for obvious reasons. If you're watching this episode, you better have already watched episode 1. Otherwise, that's weird. Don't watch these out of order. You're not going to be...
Go back and watch it.
What are you doing? This is a campaign that is an unofficial, loose adaptation of Darkest Dungeon, which is a favorite video game of mine that I think is ripe for emergent storytelling, as we have already discovered. If you enjoyed the game, then subscribe, because we're going to keep on doing it, and there's also going to be some other miscellaneous stuff that we throw up on the channel when we get the chance. Let us know how to improve. Tell us. Leave a comment, send us a message. We're on Instagram, Dreamroll Gaming. Tell us what you want to see, because this is a new endeavor for us, and we would like it to be worth watching. Anything that you want to say, Matt, before we dive in?
If you have watched episode 1, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate the viewership. We appreciate You're tuning in and having fun with us, even if sometimes people die.
Sometimes people die.
Sometimes people die.
Here we go. You don't see this because your eyes are locked downward, Jerry, but Everett squirms his way off of the tall horse that he was on and jogs up towards you. They had kept that horse far away from the action, and Everett runs up and he kneels down next to you. He's a little bit, well, he doesn't want to go too far, but he gently puts his hand on your shoulder, and he's staring down. Oh my God, I am so sorry.
Yeah, me too. And I reach down. I close Bill's eyes. And I take the blood-soaked letter and I put it in my pocket. Look, I don't know. What do we do with them? I don't give a fuck what happens to these two.
I am a little ashamed to say that I don't know the elven, rituals. Do you? Jerry, make a religion check.
It's 10.
You don't.
Or do I? But I think best we can do is take care of them the way we know how.
The dominant religion in Perennia, the light, dictates that it is a cremation. You burn the bodies. Would you like to do that?
Yeah. Let's build a pyre.
Plenty of fuel for a fire around here. These woods are incredibly dense, but plenty of the vegetation is either dead or dying or dry. So you are able to...
Is it wise? I'm wondering if it's wise to build a fire in this environment, or if we should have the horse carry Phil with us to our destination and do it there.
That's up to you. I don't think that Everett would know the answer either.
Can I do a nature check then?
Nature's good, yeah.
Not that I'm great at nature, but
Yep.
It's an 8 total.
I think you got to make the decision for Jerry what he thinks is best.
Okay. If you folks don't mind walking, I think we should take the body with us and bury it somewhere safer, or burn it somewhere safer.
Of course. I'm happy to. Mr. Hill is slowly plodding along on the horse. The horse is approaching you. Everett says to Mr. Hill, we're going to put him on the back of the horse. Mr. Hill says, would you like me to dismount?
No, you can ride the horse, and I'll lay him on the back.
Yeah. Thank you. These knees, after all. Everett helps you. It's a struggle, but because Everett is not very fit at all. But the two of you lift the body onto the horse.
I suspect we should be off then.
You continue on your way down the old road to Tilcott. After a while, plant life is beginning to look unhealthy. The longer you walk, the more you notice that most of what you see is covered by either moss or lichen or patchy fungus. Some mushroom caps that you can see are nearly a foot tall. There's an eerie quality to the hum of wildlife around you. The particular sounds are unrecognizable. The air is heavy with the smell of rot and wet earth. And the very dim light is playing tricks on your eyes. As you walk, you swear that the trees and bushes are bending in towards you.
What the hell is this place?
There are some parts of these woods that it is best not to dawdle in. Don't worry. We'll be through it soon enough.
We better make that quick.
Takes about 40 or so minutes of walking before this strange section of the woods seems to return to normal. It is late afternoon at this point. Constant trudging, constant twisting of ankles on the uneven ground. It's at this point that you need to make a decision. Either push your way to the end of the road and reach Tilcott exhausted, or camp.
Will I have an opportunity to rest when we get to Tilcott, or should we buckle down for the night?
Well, we have We have a room waiting for you, I've been told. And I think it's only right that we give you some time before, setting you to work. I don't know if it is, truth be told.
I'd like to get where we're going as soon as possible. That's all right with you.
Mr. Hill says, not much longer now, and I think you'll find your accommodations to be suitable.
Thank you.
4 more hours of this. Monotonous, trudging, painstaking. Through the narrow gap between the trees, as the sun is shining its last purple rays over the mountains, you see a seaside moor, salt-soaked, cracked earth with sparse plant life and little movement save the churning of a black ocean on the far side of the valley, which is kicking salt wind into your nostrils. Cold air bites at your cheeks. The autumn colors that you hope to see are instead varying shades of gray and brown. In the midst of it all, a dilapidated village, one that could maybe have held 300 people in its heyday, today seemingly abandoned. It's built in concentric circles around a town square where a tree is noticeably missing. To your right, a river leaves the forest and meets the sea and separates the village from 100 or so acres of modest farmland. To your left, up a steep hill, perched on a cliffside which overlooks both the ocean and the village, the ruins of what was once a massive, stately manor house. It appears to have been blown to pieces, with jagged fractions of stone, walls and columns jutting up like points on a crown. Mr. Hill begins leading Everett down the slight slope leading into town. Mr. Hill says, I'm going to get Lord Tilcott acquainted with his accommodations. If you'd like to spend some time familiarizing yourself with the hamlet, and I'll fetch you when you're needed.
I'd like to take care of my friend first. That's all right.
Ah, I see. Well, I think I have some energy left in me. I'll be of assistance.
Don't mind doing it by myself if you don't.
Maybe that's for the best.
Question before you go. Where are my accommodations that I can find them after?
Oh, they're in the Pear Tree. It's a tavern right in the town square.
Thank you. I think that's all for now.
Well, I'll find you. Feel free to peruse.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess.
Mr. Hill will get off the horse so that you can lead it to where you want to go.
Okay. My eye, is there a suitable spot for something like this?
Well, first of all, you notice one of the buildings that is directly in the town square is a tall Church of the Light, which would be taller but for the broken steeple. That has a muddy graveyard attached to it on the side and behind the church. However, if you don't want to be in town for this, there is much open land. If you cross the bridge, if you cross the river into that open farmland, much of it is actual farmland. It's not just pastures. It's owned and separated by shrubbery or broken fences. But there is still available flat land.
Okay. I don't know much about Phil. But I'd like to take his body to the church. Maybe even if there's someone there, maybe even ask if they know anything about Elvish customs and if there's a proper way to do this.
Okay. You take the horse, you lead it into the town square, uneven cobblestone, around a stone planter, which is empty. The wind is causing a very distinct howl as it passes through the square. You approach the abbey. Large double doors, just up 4 or 5 stone steps. Do you leave the horse out front? Do you go around to the graveyard? There is. There's plenty of spots where you can tie the horse.
Okay. Feels weird leaving the body, but I guess I'll do that. I'll leave Phil's body on the horse and go up to the doors of the abbey.
Okay. It's a tall and slightly slanted building, a broken tower, and a massive hole through the roof. You creak open the doors. Inside, in the center of the room, there are scorch marks and soot, and the wooden floors are dented in the center, right beneath that hole. Every sound echoes solemnly through the pews, and the wind is groaning through the hole in the roof like a sick ward. A man is pacing behind the pulpit. He's mouthing something, though there's no sound leaving his mouth. He is an exceedingly slender frame, shaggy black hair, and a surprisingly thick beard for someone who is clearly so young. Dust and caked mud collects at the hem of his long black priest vestments, with an orange sash around the waist, signifying him as a deacon of the light.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Who are you?
My name's Gerald. I'm just under contract for some work in town. I have a friend of mine was killed on the road. And I was wondering if you could help me with that.
Oh. So,
I should mention he's an elf. So I don't
really?
I don't know what to do with him.
I don't know. I don't know elves either. But I'll burn him.
Thank you.
Does this mean the Lord is in town?
I suppose that's true, yes.
All right. Yes. All right. Yes. He jerks for a moment and walks towards you, very uncomfortably sliding around you in between the pews, walks to the front door to find the horse and the body. Take it around to the back, please. And he leads you, walks around the wrought iron fence around the graveyard to the entrance in the back. And there is there's a funeral pyre made already. Feel free.
Thank you.
It does not appear that he's going to help you take him off the horse.
Right. I attempt to carry this massive dark elf over to the pyre.
Mm-hmm. You go to take him off the horse, make a strength check.
The 12.
You keep him from falling to the ground. You are limping along, sort of his feet are dragging through the mud. But you're able to heave him on top of the pyre. And the priest looks like there is no instinct in him to help you carry this body. His feet, stick through the mud as he approaches the church from the back. He enters for a moment and returns with a torch, a lit torch. He says, "Do you need to say something?"
Landriel, I didn't know you well. I could tell you were a good sort. Fuck.
The priest reaches down,
I hope it's easier
tosses the
wherever you
torch into the pyre, and walks in.
Right.
You stand and you watch the flames grow, licking up the pyre. And he's lit.
like to stay.
Okay.
I'd like to stay until he's gone.
You do. You're just watching the smoke mingle with the overcast sky. You wait a good long while. Eventually, as the flames are beginning to die down, scattered sprinkles of rain sizzle on the smoldering pyre.
My hood on, and I start the walk over to the tavern, taking the horse with me.
Okay. You return to the town square. The town square has surrounding it several of the largest buildings in the village, although the largest isn't saying much. There is a building with its front door open, letting out a combination of warm light and ripples of heat and smoke. And there's the repetitive, sharp pang of a hammer against an anvil. Next to that is a blocky 2-story stone building with a coat of arms hung above the door, which you don't recognize. Across from that is you, standing at the church. Beside the church, a broad, squat building with loose wooden siding and a rotten wooden sign above the door, impossible to read. Outside of that building, a wagon is parked, and a woman is lugging in a crate of produce.
Excuse me, ma'am. Can you tell me the way to the tavern?
Love, you're looking at it. Come on.
Well, it's a bit difficult to tell. But thank you, I appreciate the help.
You're the Lord then, yeah?
No. I'm not the lord of anything. I'm just some man the Lord hired.
Right.
What's your name then?
Ella Brooks. Pleasure. She reaches out her hand to shake.
I shake it.
Your name?
Oh, that'd be Gerald Crenshaw. Nice to make your acquaintance.
Well,
sorry, I'm a bit out of sorts. The journey here was... Well, it was interesting.
Yeah, well, we don't go in the woods, so I can imagine. Please come in.
I can understand why.
You're gonna want to meet Eddie. She picks back up the crate that she had set down on the wagon to shake your hand. It's the only crate in the wagon. It is full of carrots, pears, squash. She enters the building ahead of you. It's a low-ceilinged tavern. It has the permanent smell of pipe smoke. The bar is sticky and shining, and there's kegs behind the bar, mostly of cheap ales and wines. A man is standing behind the bar, and he says, "Please, Mrs. Brooks, allow me to manage that. I have all the time in the world, after all." And she says, "Oh, don't you fret, Eddie. It's just this one box. I'll just set it in the back for you." And she rounds behind the bar and pushes through the swinging door to the back room. And now it's just you and this man, Eddie. Old, but muscular, broad, heavy caveman brow. Dense, big gray mustache under a flat nose. Sleeves are rolled up to show rippling biceps and a apron on of a rough material. "Welcome. We've been waiting for some time."
Well, I'd say I'm happy to be here, but that's a bit complicated at the moment. I'm Gerald.
Gerald. Eddie. Please,
Pleasure to meet you.
feel free to take a seat. Are you hungry? Would you like something to drink? I can also just show you to your room if you... I'm sure it's been quite a journey.
Yeah, it'll be all right if I get something to eat and quite a bit to drink that I take in my room.
Oh, but of course, that is not a problem at all.
You know, I noticed you got ale, you've got wine.
Yes.
Got anything harder?
Well, we do. We are running low, but I think that the celebration is in order after all. Your first evening in Tilcott. Please. He reaches down. He pulls out an opaque bottle with a paper label on it. He pours you something brown and slightly viscous.
How much would it be for the bottle?
Oh, well, I'm under strict instructions not to charge you a thing. So, please, it is yours. Maybe...
I thank you.
Maybe something to fill the stomach along with it. I'd hate for you to overindulge. Stew, perhaps?
Sure.
Stuffed squash? Cornbread?
Take a bit of that stew and cornbread if that's all right by you.
Yes, I will. Be right back. Don't move a muscle. Goes to the back room. You hear him chatting a little bit with Ella.
I take a swig of that bottle while he's doing that.
Hell yeah. Make a Constitution check.
Oh my god. That's a 9.
Okay. Maybe it was once good. It is old, and it is just hot. It burns, I think, in the way that Jerry was hoping that it would.
You would be right.
Eddie backs up through the door to push the door open with his rear end, and he comes around with a bowl and a small plate of a plate of very dense cornbread and a turkey and root vegetable stew. Sets it in front of you. Stew is still steaming. And there is a tiny little dot of butter on the cornbread.
Great.
Please
I think I'd
feel
like to-
free upstairs. Turn right at the stairs, and it's the first door.
Thank you very much. I think I'm gonna lay down and clear these plates and bottle.
Yes. Well, if you need a thing, don't hesitate.
Thank you very much.
You walk up the stairs, you find your door, and you enter the room that has been designated to you, which is sparse. A bare minimum of furnishings. The wood floors underneath you sort of sink with each step and creak. And the small window in the room is fogged up, cloudy glass, just letting in a cold single stream of light that hits the middle of the floor.
I sit down on the floor in that single stream of light. Quietly in the darkness, I eat my stew and my cornbread, and I drink about as much of the bottle as I can stand, thinking back on everything that's happened, thinking about Phil, thinking about my family. Once the stew's finished and I'm sufficiently blackout drunk, I stumble over to the bed and I try to sleep.
Make a Constitution saving throw.
Jerry about to die from alcohol poisoning.
I'm an asshole DM, but that's pushing it.
Okay. Con save is 22.
Sick. The bottle is gone before you black out. You finish the bottle. You crash in your bed. Still fully clothed. Maybe you kick your boots off, do you?
I think I do. They're very muddy, and he may be dumpy, but he's not a slob.
You crash. You nod off the second your head hits the pillow, and you get a short rest. Go ahead and roll your hit points.
Great. That might just do it. This is not too bad. Okay, so I have recovered 8, which is exactly what I needed. Yep, that brings me up to full.
You wake
Do
up.
I recover any of my luck points?
No, luck is long rest. You wake up to a cold, late morning. I think you probably slept many hours.
I think I planned to.
Yeah.
All right. Guess let's go downstairs and have a bit of breakfast.
You go downstairs, and Eddie is right where you left him. He is sipping something steaming from a teacup that is too small for him to hold by the handle with his meaty paws. And he's sipping and sketching.
Good morning, sir. I hope that your evening was agreeable.
It was, yeah, it was all right. Thank you.
You look like you could use some coffee.
I would love some coffee.
That's right. He serves you some. Serves you some from the back. He brings it to you.
What do you say? Cornbread with apple butter, maybe a barley and cranberry porridge.
All of that sounds lovely.
Right away.
You're alone in the tavern. Again. Serves you your food. Do you sit at the bar?
I sit at the bar this time.
Eddie sets down the food and sort of leans his arms against the bar and says,
So, tell me truly, what do you think of our new lord?
He seems a fine enough fellow. Don't know him too well. Spent most of the time not speaking in the carriage and then tucking his tail between his legs when things got hairy.
Not a terrific
say he's
sign,
unblaming.
maybe it's not the best quality in a leader. But I'm sure he will warm up, yes.
Yes, and I suppose that's why I'm here.
Tell me, what was your reasoning for coming?
I was hired as a mercenary. Not quite sure what the work entails yet. No one's seen fit to tell me. Wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you?
Yes. Now, I hail from the outskirts of the capital, but spent a good amount of my life as a member of King Kelly's brigands. That is, of course, the bandits in the Weald.
I do a history check.
"Do."
Do I know what he's talking about?
Let's find out.
$11.
No. Although, you have heard people in Danver refer to this old forest as the Weald. But no, you've not heard the name King Kelly before. And he says,
I spent many regrettable years under King Kelly's service, and once I had made the realization that he was doomed to fail, I could no longer commit. So, by the grace of the light, I was allowed to move into town. I've been in Tilcott now for many years at this point, and people have been very forgiving and welcoming, and I just try to be of service to them now.
I suppose I've got to find a way to be of service myself then. No. Spent a bit of time in the capital myself.
Ah, really? Are you Zephyr born and raised?
I'm from the country actually, but I made my way to the capital for a time.
Yes.
Um,
Well, I think everybody
Born in
should, you
Brooklyn.
know, once in their life.
yeah, I mean, I spent 10 years of it in prison, but that's neither here nor there. We all just try to make an honest living after we have a dishonest life, haven't we?
I couldn't have put it better. My life here, running the pear tree, it is meager, but quite satisfying after a very bloody history. Have you ever considered leaving mercenary life, settling down yourself?
I had been settled down for many years. Fortunately, when you're a farmer, sometimes the money's there and sometimes it's not. And I'm here because it's not.
Well, we will try to take good care of you while you're in town, and well, please, if you need an open ear, someone who maybe has similar experience to yours, you know where to find me.
I certainly do. It suits you all right. I'd love to know where to meet my points of contact and get started on whatever it is I'm getting started on.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm afraid I've no idea where the Lord himself is, but I believe he's being taken round town to get the lay of the land, you know. And I hope to meet him soon.
I hope you get that chance.
Well, maybe
Um,
you ought to do the same, you know, familiarize yourself.
Sure. I think I'm all done here. I take a walk around the town and see you when I see you.
Well, if you don't mind, seeing as it is just me here, I will be popping over to the Abbey for a brief moment. But I will be back in time to serve you supper, of course.
I'll see you then, I suppose.
He comes around the bar and he walks out with you, and then he gives you a very proper and courteous nod before splitting off to go to the Abbey.
I nod back. That clinking that I heard in town earlier. That happened to be a blacksmith.
Just across the way, you approach the building. Door is still open. It is hot and dark inside this, what is a smithy. It consists of a front counter to separate this front entrance from the rest of the wide open space behind it. Almost directly behind which is the smelter, forge, and anvil. And the only light is from the glow of the forge, which is causing an intimidating backlight on the figure inside. He's fat and he's beefy, maybe only a couple inches shorter than Phil was, with a long gray blonde beard and a bandana pulled down all the way to his eyes, thick, heavy gloves and apron, no shirt. You just see his silhouette as he's striking the anvil, and he turns to you, and you see a hook for a hand. Oh, wait, no, it's a hook in his hand, which he then drops into a small box of identical hooks before lifting the box up and slamming it down on the front counter. Yes.
I was just wanting to have a look at your wares, if that's all right.
What do you request? Quickly
Can you
now,
make-
quickly now.
Suppose it'd be nice to have a little bit of better armor.
Better armor. What you want?
I mean, I've got leather. Happen to have any studded leather, anything like that?
I can put studs in your armor. Yes, this what you want.
That would work for me.
All right, give.
All right. Jerry has on like sort of regular clothes. But on top, it's kind of like a tattered leather jerkin, and some like leather bracers, just leather armor items on top of his regular clothes. So I'm gonna pass those off to the blacksmith.
You take your time to remove these pieces of armor. He's standing there, clearly very impatient. You put it on the counter, and he grabs it, and he drops it on the ground, and he says, "Come back later." Much later.
How much will I owe you?
50.
Okay. So I got it. I have it. I have that much. It won't leave me with a whole lot, but
the wooden box full of hooks, he pushes to your side of the counter, and he says, "Make yourself useful. Take this to Baker's. I am busy."
all right. Sure. Yeah, I take the box. Where exactly is the baker's?
Down Bridge Street.
Right, thank you.
Go, I work, I do.
Sure. All right. So I swiftly pick up that box and try to suss out where Bridge Street is.
Okay. Looking around the layout of this little hamlet, there's one hint as to what Bridge Street is, which is that one of the streets which comes off of the town square like a spoke on a wheel. You see it leads down, and then leads to the bridge over the river into the farmlands. You're imagining that's Bridge Street.
Okay. I'll start walking that way and try to follow the smell of bread.
Start walking that way. You're trying to follow your nose. Make a perception check.
$16?
16's great. You think you smell bread. You also smell meat, like jerky. Suddenly to your left, there's the sounds of shouting and of a vase or something breaking from inside the house. And you hear shouting.
Can I discern what's being said, or is it just sort of...
It's too muffled
Murky.
to make out. Although you see that this house is sort of elongated, and there are 3 separate entrances to the house. One in the middle, which is has no signery attached to it, and then the 2 front doors on either side are clearly designated as the butcher and the baker.
Okay, great. Let's go Baker side.
You approach, you open the door, which is attached to a bell, which rings, and you hear adult voices shouting and also the squeals of children creating a ruckus. And that's coming from like a side passage into the rest of this long house, and a man jogs in with cropped short hair and rolled up sleeves and a very sweet, round, friendly face. And he's panting. Oh, I swear these kids will never give me a moment's rest. Hello? Oh, hello. I don't know you.
I'm new. I've just been hired.
We've been looking
I'm Jerry.
forward to your arrival. Come in. My name's Quint. I'm the baker. Can I get you something? Please. Have something on the house. We've got some pastries, loaves.
Wouldn't happen to have Shvuyadel, would you?
Shvoo.
Might just be an Elvish thing.
Sorry, mate. I'm
I've
not
got these
very
hooks for you, though.
I'm not very well travelled.
Sure. Got this box of hooks from the blacksmith. He told me to take them over to you.
Oh yes, all right. That's Bonnie's. Thanks. That's the butcher's shop across on the other side. Actually, if you don't mind just dropping them off in the front room there, I've got to get back and help with these damn kids.
Sure, I can do that. I'm all right on pastries, though. Maybe I'll take you up on that another time.
Anytime you just say the word, yeah.
Thank you very much.
He runs back in to try to get a handle on these children.
Great. Let's go take these hooks
You trot
to
out
the front room.
around the front yard into the butcher's side of the house. And nobody is in this side either. It sounds like everybody's occupied. And you drop off the box.
Yeah. Let's drop off that box.
Okay.
I guess wander around and sort of see the sights.
Everywhere that you wander through this town, the ruins on the hill are always so visible. It feels, when you're looking at the hill from over the tops of the roofs, it almost feels like a disconnected picture. Like the two do not match. So there's just always this odd presence looming. There's houses and buildings along the shoreline of this constantly roiling sea. The weather is still just a constant sprinkle, nothing heavy. And you see the farms to the south. And go back to the town square and familiarize yourself more with that spot. Seems like you're in a mostly residential area right now. You see just next door to the butchers / bakers, you see a man and a woman sitting in their garden on a bench, front garden. And the man is sewing buttons onto an old blouse and chatting with the woman. Occasionally at the butcher baker, there is a peak, a moment of extra commotion, and the woman starts up and looks over in that direction, and the man taps her on her knee, and he says, "It's their turn, isn't it? Try to relax."
Hello there.
Hello, sir. You must be the,
I'm new.
you must be the bodyguard.
Oh, that's what I'm doing. You've actually been the first person to say exactly what I've been doing since I've been hired. It was just kind of vaguely mercenary work until...
Oh, well, maybe it's my misunderstanding. I'm sorry. I'm not in the know.
That makes two of us.
Eh.
What can you tell me about the town and, what's your name? Who are you?
Buchanan. Please, Buchanan Hatch. This is Winnie. And Winnie nods and waves and says, "Hello, welcome to town." I'm sorry,
Nice to meet you
there's
both.
not all that much to tell you. It's a bit of, it's just a drab old town.
There's got to be something to it, though. I mean, people are here. Something feels strange about the place. I mean, what keeps this old town running?
You want to just come in through that gate there and take a seat.
I'd do that.
He welcomes you in. He continues to add the new buttons onto this blouse as he's talking. The old Lord Tilcott, Charles Tilcott, that was an evil man. He was interested in things not of this world. The occult, mysticism, magic. And I'm afraid we were pawns to him. He was using us to experiment, using us as trading our lives for his power. We lost a lot of people. When he died 5 years ago, everybody in town celebrated until we realized that that doesn't mean that the trouble's over, and that also doesn't mean that we can leave town, or that
supplies from out of town can get to us because of those damn bandits. And the witch, of course.
Oh, there's a witch. That's nice.
Well, there's a witch.
Might she live in that part of the woods that feels like it's closing in on you?
Oh, she lives in that part of the woods that none of us ever go to.
I can imagine. These bandits that you speak of,
Yep.
I think I might have run into a couple of them. Do they wear green sash?
Yeah, they wear green anything. That's how they tell themselves. King Kelly's brigands.
I've heard the name.
Yeah, well. I don't like calling him King Kelly, but you know, that's just what he's known as.
Sort of self-appointed king, I suppose, then.
Oh, that's right. He was the leader of the mercenaries that Lord Charles Tilcott had hired to keep us in line in town when we started to object. But they turned against him. I guess they wasn't getting paid, so they brought their big old war machine into town, turned it against the manor, and fired off and blew the thing to bits.
Starting to put all the pieces together, then. I don't want to take much more of your time, but I appreciate you.
Make no mistake, it is refreshing to talk to somebody who I haven't been talking to for the last 25 years. That's nothing against you, Winnie, but, you know, we don't get a lot of new faces in town.
I'm sorry that the new face has to look like this.
Oh, you hush. I'm sure you were handsome in your day, same as me.
I spend most of my time covering it up, but that's neither here nor there.
You got an odd way of speaking.
Been told that before. Anyway, you have a pleasant rest of your day, and I'm sure I'll see you around.
You come by any time. By the way, Winnie here is a master at pottery. I'm but her apprentice. So if ever there's an occasion where you need something, you come by.
Certainly will, and I appreciate the offer.
All right. Have a good day now. Careful out there. Stay dry.
I'll do my best.
Where are you gonna go now?
I don't know. Maybe I should go check out this manor house. I mean, I was told that I would be found, but
Right.
I don't really feel like waiting.
Right.
Oh, girly pop. Sorry. This is another one.
What's that?
Just another cat.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So you're thinking you're gonna walk up the hill to the manor.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. You go up, you pass through the town square again, and through to the other side. There is a long dirt, packed dirt path that leads up in a sort of mostly straight line up this long sloped hill. The path is starting to be taken over by grass. It's not very traveled these days. As you're approaching these ruins, the forced perspective is starting to disappear a little bit. You're realizing just how big this place was.
getting colder and windier, sort of blowing cold air into your under your clothes, especially with your armor off. About halfway up this hill, you hear somebody calling out behind you. And you recognize the voice of the priest. The priest has his vestments. He's clutching his vestments up as he runs, and his voice is not loud. He does not maybe know how to yell, but he's saying, "Please, please, 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 no, please, 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 don't, come back, come back."
Why exactly?
You don't go up there. You don't go up there. People don't go up
What's
there.
going on up there?
People don't go up there. They don't come back. Come down. Come.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'll go with him.
That's the manner.
I've gathered that.
Don't. He wipes some sweat away from his eyes. Oh. Come down. He's leading you down the hill. He reaches the town square, and he looks at you again. And then he diverts and he dodges and he goes back into the church, slams the doors.
Odd fellow.
He comes back out a moment later with Mr. Hill. Mr. Hill was in the church. Mr. Hill says, "Thank you for waiting. I think it's about time that we meet Lord Tilcott in the tavern."
All right, let's go do that then.
In the pear tree, Eddie, the tavern keeper, is holding down his usual position behind the bar. You see Everett is sitting at the only large table in the room. He is accompanied by the woman who introduced herself as Ella Brooks. She's got a blonde bob with a white peasant shirt with rolled up sleeves and a popped collar and big leather work gloves, and her shirt's tucked into baggy pants with lots of pockets on it and tight fitting boots, and her eyes are angular and bright, and she's really quite short. The priest joins the table and sits down. Mr. Hill pulls a chair from the next table over and places it there for you, and then he tucks himself into a nearby booth. There's one person who you don't recognize, who you haven't met yet, which is a stern-looking woman in her later years. She's tall and sort of slender with an aquiline nose and sharp cheekbones, with wiry, almost frizzy gray hair that's bunched up on her head, and she's sitting very stoically and upright. She's wearing a two-piece of gray tweed, a button-up jacket high up to the collar, and a skirt that goes down to black ankle boots. Everett says, "Thank you. Sorry to keep you. It's good to see you. Would you take a seat?"
Sure, yeah.
What happened with Phil?
Oh, I took him to the church and yeah, I took care of it with a bit of help.
I'm sorry that I wasn't there. I feel bad about that now, thinking back.
I think it was better I did it alone anyway.
All right. Okay. Oh. Well, you've already met Mr. Partridge, the tavern keeper, I've heard.
I have.
And Mrs. Brooks, the village grocer. This is Ms. Rebecca Fisher. She is the fishmonger in town.
Used to be the fishmonger back when we were still a fishing village.
Of course. This is Father Beltran Gorman, our deacon, and Father Gorman, the priest, nods his head sharply and doesn't really make eye contact with anybody in particular. Everybody, this is Gerald Crenshaw. Jerry, should I call you that?
Sure. I mean, most people do.
This is Jerry, and he is, well, I think the beginning step of what I hope is a more concerted effort to sort of act as an exterminator for various troubles. Jerry, they've all been educating me throughout the day about the estate and the problems, and apparently what we encountered in the woods is a part of a larger issue. People living out there. It's a gang of brigands, and
I heard it was a fella named King Kelly, and this is what's left of his people.
Everett looks to Eddie and nods and says, "Okay, well, I'm glad that you two got acquainted then. Saves me some trouble." But yes, they are sort of wreaking havoc on Tilcott and Danver on both ends of the old road, and harassing people who try to come and go from the hamlet. But am I right that the brigands are not alone in the woods? They have a roommate. Have you heard about this?
I've heard about a witch. Is that what you're talking about?
Mr. Hill chuckles softly from the booth nearby, and he says, "Well, it's an interesting choice of words. There is a woman in the woods, an herbalist, a medicine woman, and she had begun to harass Lord Tilcott, it seems. She had developed an infatuation with him. So he commanded to leave the estate, and so she did. She left, simple as that." Now, Miss Fisher, the fishmonger, says,
It is not simple as that. She's still out there. There's a reason the forest is dying. She is a witch.
Well, be that as it may, she has never returned to the estate, and so nothing to fear, right? Ella Brooks, the grocer, says, "Sir, the woods are part of the estate, so really she never left. And what's more, the woods have changed since she went out there. Trees are dying. Wild game has gone poisonous. I've seen mold and mushrooms covering whole glades in the deeper parts of the woods. Mind you, I'm sure it can be fixed, but not while she's out there cursing the land." And Everett says, "Well, if it's so bad in there, then how do the brigands stand living in it?" And Eddie says, "An astute question, indeed." Miss Fisher
Sounds like there's some things out there that need taken care of. Is that why I'm here?
Everett says, "Well, yeah, it would seem that the most pressing matters are in the woods, especially seeing as without access to the old road and without safe travel to Danver, no food or supplies come into town, and none of the produce grown in the south fields is able to be sold, and the town is pretty well and truly cut off from civilization. So I think priority number one would be to get the old road safe to travel, open again, and reestablish communication with Danver. Now listen, I don't expect you to do that alone,
I certainly hope not.
but,
Sorry, this isn't funny.
well, it's kind of funny.
Well, man's dead. Oh.
Oh. Right. I'm sorry.
I let it slide.
So I'm not really sure how to get somebody else to help you when there's no way to leave town safely. This might be tricky. Miss Fisher slaps her hand down on the table and says,
Will we sit here all evening without addressing the real problem? People go missing monthly, sometimes weekly. And the closer you are to the water, the more likely it is that you are next. We've gone without our village's biggest industry for 3 years now, and it's not just because of the storms. Sailors are afraid of worse than weather these days.
Mr. Hill, set with a wide smile, says,
Actually, Miss Fisher, the disappearances have happened all over the village, not just the shoreline. And we can't be sure that they all have to do with the fish folk. Fisher says, Is that supposed to be a comfort, Hill?
Everett said, I'm sorry, I think I misheard you? Fish folk?
You had the same question.
Mr. Hill, somewhat regrettably, says,
Well, yes, there is. That is the legend, at least, of fish folk. Are said to live out there, and the villagers fear that they would be taken in the nights to a watery grave. Not that I believe any of it, mind you.
And Fisher says, Well, then you explain it, Hill. Everett said, Please, I'm just trying to get the full picture. Suddenly, the piercing sound of Father Gorman's chair scooting out of the table silences the group, and Father Gorman rises and bolts out of the tavern. A cold rush of air briefly fills the room before the door closes behind him.
He's a jumpy little fella, isn't he?
Eddie says,
Yes. Well, I'm afraid he has every reason to be. I suppose we all have every reason to be, although some of us handle it better than others. His It hasn't been easy for him, especially, though. His nerves are quite shot from the stress of it all. I'll pay him a visit later.
Everybody's...
So it seems first order of business, if don't mind me saying. I'm gonna need some help.
Yes.
I don't know if there's methods of communication where we can send letters, or are we just hoping that someone else sees those notices posted in town? That could take a long time.
I'm also afraid that the flyers say to meet us at the depot. So I don't think that's gonna happen. And the date on the flyer has passed. I think that the next person who sees the flyer up on that bulletin board is gonna rip it off and throw it away. Do we need to get back to town?
Now, someone needs to get back to town. And I suppose I'm going along because I'm the bodyguard. I have to say, though, I'm not yucking anyone's yum, so to speak. I'm a thief. It's what I'm good at. Those are my set of skills. I can steal, I can hide, I can do things of that nature. So if there's any use for me in that line of work, I think that'd be suitable. Anything more than that really takes some muscle.
Well, I'm sorry. It's like, I had really hoped to find a bigger group to hire. It seems like you two were the only ones willing to say yes to the job, so I'm a little nervous about trying to find somebody else.
The only ones to say yes in Denver. Capital's a big place.
The capital. Well, if I had known that, I would have done some hiring before I left. It's a long ways away.
I imagine sailing's out of the question.
Ms. Fisher, maybe you would know best? Miss Fisher looks a little bit bewildered. She says, "Oh, by all means. Yes, sail across churning seas, swarming with murderous fish people. Good idea, yes. Oh, I'm sure we should just send our whole fleet of fishing boats back out there. Nothing to fear." Everett's like, I understand the message. If we had to, though, would that be possible?
I mean, I'm just spitballing here.
Please, because I'm at a loss.
Going with an entire carriage over those difficult roads. Arduous, long, terrible, Not ideal. Two people on just horses might be easier.
Eddie Partridge says, I think it is only right that I volunteer as someone who lived in the Weald for some time and is intimately familiar with the inhabitants of the woods. If you would like me to lend my services, leave town and escort you through the woods, I believe that I would be able to blaze a trail that does not lead along the old road. It would take some time, but I think it would be a path less traveled by King Kelly's sort.
It'd be a bit easier. Important to mention, I am wanted in Danver. Not eager to go back there. Is there another place we might go to find some folk?
Might I offer an alternative? It would be nice to have someone of your capabilities in town. Perhaps it is best if myself and his lordship...
You see Everett cringe at the phrase, his lordship.
It's perhaps best if myself and his lordship were to travel into town. Find more help, and let you stay here, get your bearings, make any inquiries that you feel are necessary, and keep the town at least looked over, if not protected.
Suppose I could do that. Blacksmith currently has my armor anyway, so it's best I don't go anywhere till that's fixed.
It may be quite a few days before you see that armor again. He's not overly fond of outsiders.
Sure. I suppose it's settled then. I'll stay. I'll help in any way I can here. How the two of you go search for some more help.
How soon can you leave, Lord?
Please, Everett is fine.
How soon can you leave, Everett?
I still haven't unpacked, so I think I'm good to go. Jerry, is there anything that you need in Danver, or is there anything that we should do on your behalf?
If you happen to see any wanted posters with my face on them, it'd be nice if you pulled them down.
But that's naughty, Jerry. You can't. I am a newly minted lord. You can't expect somebody of my status to. Of course, I'll do that for you, Jerry.
Great, that'd be lovely.
Get cozy. We'll see you in. Well, we'll see you.
See you when I see you.
We're going to call it for the day. We're going to call that the session.
Great.
Boy, oh boy. Hey, everybody, thank you very, very much. Underscoring and sound effects by Pocket Bard. The best app I've ever discovered. Our theme song, which is supposed to be playing right now by none other
Staley.
than Mr. Matthew Staley right here. Hey, Matt, is there anything coming up in the near future that you think people would be interested to look forward to from you?
Shot in the dark. I am doing a musical in Ashland, Oregon called Waitress. I will be in that coming up soon. So
Coming up quite
you can follow me
soon,
on Instagram.
right? Whenabouts does it
More
open?
updates on that. That would be opening in April.
Yeah, all right. Okay, all right. We miss you, Dan. We're excited to have Dan back. And most importantly, play Darkest Dungeon. I cannot thank them enough for being okay with me making this not partnered, unofficial inspiration adaptation. Great game. I can't wait to play it tonight. Thank you, Matt. Thanks for playing with me. Let's move on
Thanks for
to our
GM and
hell yeah. Let's move on to the post game chat for the extra cool people who want to watch that. See you next time.